What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, CW. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to hit that bell on YouTube and subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcasting app. Let's get right into it. It's the 2023 Wrestling Wrap-Up here on Wrestling. Thank you for listening, guys. You know I appreciate you. We only have 10 minutes, and that is an arbitrary time limit I've put on myself, only to make this podcast easier to make, but also to keep you guys engaged. You know, hour-long podcasts are hard to commit to. But because of that, I only have so much time to talk about this year in wrestling. And I don't know, I feel like I need to extend the time limit of this podcast for this one, but I won't. But if you guys want longer episodes, you let me know, and maybe we'll do once a week. We'll do like a 20 or 30-minute episode. Whatever helps you out in terms of wrestling content. Now, I think 2023 let's focus on WWE because I don't watch enough AEW to make that much of a comment on it, but I think WWE had a fantastic year in professional wrestling. I think AEW had a pretty great year as well. I do like the rise of Swerve Strickland. I do like Ricky Starks and Big Bill as tag champs over at AEW. Jericho's always going to be an attraction in professional wrestling to me. So I think AEW's been kicking in full gear. They do have some gaps, but they also have incredible bright spots like MJF and Samoa Joe dealing with this devil character, who I hope is Mustafa Ali and not Jack Perry. But that's neither here nor there. For WWE, the product I watch the most, I think they've had a fantastic year. And coming out of 2022, which was a little hit or miss, but it was the knighting of Triple H as the head of creative, taking over for Vince. And this year really was Triple H's sort of proving ground, right? He had the summer of 22 through the winter to kind of set up his storylines and then move him into the WrestleMania season that he was going to run. And I think he did a great job. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from, I say take a look, like there's any video for this. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from every month of 2023 leading up to right now. So in January was Royal Rumble, obviously, and Cody Rhodes won the Royal Rumble to set him on the path to quote-unquote finish his story with Roman Reigns. But I think one of the biggest moments in the Rumble was Gunther being made. He was a made man after that Royal Rumble. I think everyone really sat up and paid attention to Gunther. I think he came in at number 2, lasted all the way to the final 2 with him and Cody. They put on a banger of a match after a full-on Rumble, and then he did the job for Cody, but lost no shine, and if nothing else, he became a bigger star. And Gunther really proved that that the right wrestler can make a title worthwhile and not the other way around, right? So I think it is the wrestler that carries the title that makes the title important. The reason Roman Reigns' title is important is because his character is very strong, it's been built up, and he carries it with weight. He is, as I call him, the final boss. Gunther is also, for the Intercontinental Championship, he is a final boss. He just wrecks everyone. He's like the boss in Elden Ring that isn't the final boss, but he's still crazy difficult. You're just like, why is this in the middle of the game? This doesn't make any sense why this boss that is not the final boss is so damn difficult. It's going to take me 2 weeks to beat it, and then you finally beat it, and you're like, oh my God, I don't even want to play the rest of the game. I feel like I climbed a mountain. That's Gunther. And it all started there. Well, not started, but that's where it was like, dude, this dude is legit. And in February, Sami Zayn took on Roman Reigns at the Elimination Chamber. It was in Canada. Everyone quote unquote thought Sami Zayn was going to go over and win the title. He didn't, because again, Roman is the final boss, and it marked the storyline moving forward for Sami Zayn to get to WrestleMania with Kevin Owens, which we'll jump to right now. So March and April set up WrestleMania for KO and Sami to win the tag titles from the Usos, and it also set up Cody to lose the championship match against Roman Reigns, which I think some people might have forgotten that Cody did not finish his story and that people think he's on the road to finishing it at 40. I don't know. They haven't really set that up yet. In May, WWE tears down Puerto Rico with Bad Bunny in one of the most hyped PLE / pay-per-views that the WWE had this year. I mean, the crowd was crazy. The event was crazy. The matches were great. And Bad Bunny tore it down as a performer. Dude wrecked house. That crowd was crazy. And they poured so much money into Backlash, Puerto Rico did, that they can't even do it again. They can't afford to do it again. So they were like, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it big. We're going to do it PR style. And they tore it down in Puerto Rico. Then from June to July, we had sort of a bloodline breakdown, and which led to, Money in the Bank in July, where Damian Priest won the briefcase and Io Sky won her women's briefcase. And that was the pay-per-view. I'll always call it a pay-per-view. I'm not calling it a PLE. That was the pay-per-view that Jay pinned Roman. It was the first time Roman got pinned in 2 years in the tag match between the Usos and the Bloodline, Roman and Solo, which set up their SummerSlam match where Jimmy turned on Jay and honestly started this really weird storyline for Jimmy that I think we're getting to the point now where we're far enough away from the setup where now he's just his character, and his character is I mean, it's not interesting, but I like it. Sort of. Like, I see where they're trying to go with it. It's still kind of weird, and the logical parts of my brain won't connect dots for Jimmy's character, but hopefully by the time we get to Royal Rumble, they set up Jimmy versus Jay for Mania. And we're right there. The Rumble's right around the corner, guys. It's going to be great. In September, my highlight for September was Becky Lynch versus Trish in that crazy cage match. They tore the house down. They pulled the curtain and never looked back. They made everything more difficult for people in that pay-per-view. Kudos to Trish for taking that huge bump and getting that crazy knot on her head, taking glamour pictures with a huge knot. In October, I believe that was when Io Sky claimed her women's championship title. I don't know if it was October. I can't remember. It feels like way longer. I think it was way longer. I think it was longer. I think she just defended her title in October. When did she win the title? Man, you can't recall a whole year's worth of story, but I think she just defended her title against Charlotte and Bianca. Didn't she win the women's Money in the Bank and then cash it in the same day? I'm blanking. Somebody let me know in the comments. And in November, huge November for WWE. Randy Orton returned. Yay! Randy Orton came back at War Games, and nothing else happened in November. Come on, man. CM Punk came back too. That's crazy. The biggest acquisition in professional wrestling in a very long time. CM Punk, quote unquote, went home. Give me a break. And is going to generate a lot of bucks for WWE. Let's be honest. And that brings us to December, where we're kind of on our road to Royal Rumble. There's no PLEs or anything going on these days. But that's a lot of stuff this year. That's a lot of storyline. That's a lot of good wrestling. I didn't cover that. I covered very high level stuff from this year to kind of get your mind wrapped around some of the stories that were, presented to us. But let's be very clear. There was a lot of good wrestling this year. Very good wrestling happened this year. Great matches. I didn't even cover things like Chad Gable versus Gunther for the IC title, or the rise of Tozawa, or R-Truth coming back. I mean, it's just been an incredible year of wrestling. We'll do another episode about all the great stuff that happened this year. So thanks for listening, and don't you ever forget.
I'm your friend, but if I ever see you in the ring, I can beat you. Don't you know? Yeah, yeah, yeah.